Good evening. Yes, so I'll do my introduction. Yes, thank you. So, as Kate says, my name's David. I'm from an organisation, a social enterprise called Tadcaster and Rural. We happen to occupy a building in Tadcaster called The Barn. But I think I should have titled this The Accidental Environmentalist, because what you've heard so far is some really clear direction and planning. And what we've kind of done at The Barn is invite people in to run environmental projects, and it's been much more kind of organic, which is probably a good thing for an environmental scheme. So what I'm going to do is not talk about energy directly. We're going to talk about sustainability in the wider sense, and energy cometh into it from time to time, but it's not fundamental to the projects I'm going to talk to you about. The first one is Little Helping Hands, which is a baby bank. I'm sure you not expect, that's not what it sounds like. And the second one is the B team. And it's great that Sue Morgan is here today, because Sue is a director of Tadcrafters, who are very much the front and centre of the B team. Is the A team the Tadcrafters and they're the B team just who knows? It just happened that way. So I'm not going to talk about the barn, the building, and how sustainable it is or could be. What I'm going to try to get across to you is that there is an opportunity for you as members of the community. You've been talking a lot about in your own home, with your families, with friends, about being advocates, about making those changes, which is fantastic. There are a whole host of community buildings out there that welcome people in with ideas and initiatives to deliver things. And that's exactly what has happened at the barn. It's very much a blank canvas. So we took the barn over in 2019 from North Yorkshire Council. The local authority was in the process of disposing of this fantastic asset, which had kind of become redundant to them. They couldn't afford to run it. There was not an awful lot going on in the building. They looked to basically asset transfer it. We were the organisation in town who were able to put up our hands and say, we'll take a risk. If you give it us for free, we will take it, and, as I say, a blank canvas. And what we turned it into very much was a youth and community centre. So there's an awful lot that goes on about young people, but the wider community have also been invited in. And that's really where these project ideas have come about. And I'm going to talk to you about two of them in particular. Little Helping Hands, as I say, is a baby bank. And I didn't do it. You know, what we did was provide the opportunity for it to happen. How did it happen? It happened because we had a space, and the organisation, as it was growing, attracted volunteers to it. So it was set up by Jess Sherwood, a local mum, new mum, discovered, as many new mums and dads do, that baby stuff costs an awful lot of money. And also, you use it for a month, and it goes off somewhere else, and you need to buy some new stuff, and then eventually, etc. So she decided that wouldn't it be a good idea to set up a baby bank where she could recycle the equipment that she had, her friends had, her friendship circle had, and start to expand that out into the community so that people who were not able to afford or actually wanted to recycle that equipment could do so. She approached us because we were friends and said, can we use part of the barn as storage space? Because an awful lot of community projects need storage space. And can she use it for drop-in sessions so that she could attract the public in, so that they can come and pick what they want and need? And we said yes. And we said that we're a community organisation, we're a social enterprise. Do we want to charge a community group, a startup community group? No, we don't want to do that. Come in for free and see how the project develops. brought together a team of volunteers, obviously managed through a WhatsApp group because, my God, what hasn't managed through a WhatsApp group these days? And developed their social media presence. And what that social media presence did was allow them to reach out to the people who wanted to use them, to advertise when they were going to be available, and to also make calls out for particular items. So, there's an awful lot, as you know, involved in bringing up baby, and that's from pushchairs through to baby baths, through to a paraphernalia of equipment that wasn't around 24 years ago when my first one was around, but now it is. We were able to put those calls out and get equipment in. The other thing that's donated, which it has got a kind of more direct energy aspect to it, of course, is clothes. And we are donated a vast amount of baby clothes, and which are organised in our spacious attic, which Sue knows very well. In terms of, we bag it up, we put it in age groups, and then once a month we bring it out downstairs, we open it up, and people come and take what they need. They take it for free as well. We don't charge. If people want to make an offer, they can do. And critically also, they obviously made contact with the wider circle of people who support young parents and young families. Talked a little bit about money, and money is always important in these things. And if you, in your wider role in the community, in life, have an idea, an inspiration to go to a village hall, your town council, your social enterprise who runs a youth club, a community centre, if you can go there and say, here's my idea, and this is, I think, what it's going to cost and why it's going to cost this much, and I've done a bit of digging because I've actually spoken to these guys up for Yorkshire and they've told me that there is a grant available for this, then that opens a whole bunch of doors. It just makes life so much easier. In this case, we did actually help Jess. She was very much new to the game, and we got her a small grant from North Yorkshire Council, which literally got her up and running. She didn't have any overheads at the time. We didn't charge her. She didn't have any staff. Fantastic. But as the company developed, we went to, as so many of us do, go to the National Lottery's entry-level grant scheme, which is called Awards for All, which can provide up to £20,000 per annum for 2 years. It can pay for a heck of a lot of stuff. And I would suggest to you that if you've never looked at the National Lottery or looked at Awards for All, even if you haven't got an idea in your mind at the moment, just have a little Google Awards for All, see what it's all about, because it can make any project happen. You don't have to be a constituted group, you don't have to be running a charity or a social enterprise or a company. You can just be an individual with an idea and you can go to them. The project developed really strongly. It's still going today. We did set up a community interest company. However, and this is where things do change, Jess, who set the original project up, decided to move to Pocklington of all places. And as a result of that, has been taken away out of the project. So the project is now back at the stage where we run monthly drop-ins, we respond to requests for donations, and we run it in that way on a very, very low level, very low cost basis. But we do take in donations, and we recycle, renew, reuse all the way along. So little helping hands, really successful project, still going today, inspiration and easy to do, and people will come to and flock to that sort of idea, I think. Sorry, yeah, come back to that.
How do people find out about stuff like this?
So if you wanted to find out about that, you would have to literally Google, go online, Facebook. Obviously, it's advertised in certain circles. For us, it's very much Tadcaster and environs. So if you're in Selby, you're probably not going to hear about it. If you're in Brayton, you're probably not going to hear about it. If you're in Saxton, you should have heard about it. So if you're in...
It's probably on your doorstep, or those magazines that you throw away.
Yeah.
It's
So I think with Saxton, I mean, I know social media is not necessarily the cure-all, but With us at the barn, when we run an event or we start an activity or we're delivering something, we will always put it on our Facebook and our Insta, and then we will share it with any village group that we are able to access. Saxton doesn't have something like that, I don't think. And
Village hall.
yeah, exactly. You don't have a Saxton grumbler. You really don't have anything to grumble about there. Get yourself a grumble. So, we do rely on social media to get the message out there. But what I would suggest to you is that if you want to follow us at the barn, Tadcaster barn, that way you would be connected into all these. And there are a lot of initiatives that run out of Tadcaster, which are clearly your most, your nearest market town. And it would be great if you could be connected more to those. So. The second project I wanted to talk about, again, not really about energy, Tadcrafters writ large, the bee team. And, this is, to my mind, this is exactly what I'm talking about, the ability to deliver an environmentally conscious project with very little resource and almost completely accidentally. Because the only reason it started in the very first place is, firstly, we knew a beekeeper, right? That was very important. Happens to be the sister-in-law of Humphrey Smith, which is interesting. Well, yeah, she came first. She came with the idea to me and said, I'd really like to have bees at the barn, David. She was associated with us. I'd really love to have bees at the barn. What a lovely idea. She's a beekeeper out in Healer. 2 years later, one summer, early summer's evening, a swarm descended on the barn. And so I go outside the building and suddenly I'm faced with, several 100,000, it looked like, bees wandering around my gardens. The initial thought was, okay, I shall call Priscilla. And she came down within an hour with a box and a blanket, and she put the box underneath the bush where all these guys were hovering around the queen, and she hit the top of it with a blanket, and they all fell in the box, and she took it away. And it was an amazing sight to behold, actually. And obviously, swarms happen all the time. A little bit earlier in the year, it's not so much now, but swarms do happen all the time. She overwintered our hive in Healer, and then in the spring she brought it back, and she brought another hive with it as well, which we then subsequently heaved onto our flat roof. And there they lived and do live still to this day, although one of our hives has changed somewhat in recent times. What we found as the project developed, now, I should hold my hands up now, I am not a beekeeper. What I know about bees is about it's bee-sized, actually, and we didn't go into it thinking, yeah, this is fantastic. We'll be able to run this so easily. We just took an opportunity and seized it and thought this fits in really well with the ethic of environmentalism, educating young people. Everything about it fitted in with what we wanted to be at the barn. And we found that there were people who were really willing to help us out. So the Berks and Ash Beekeeping Association we joined, and they were really, really helpful to us. We did buy some equipment. I did meet men in car parks with, and exchanged bags full of, actually, beekeeping equipment for very small amounts of money, actually. Does the income from the honey pay for the extraction?
Well, the extractions don't really cost anything unless we have to pay to hire the extractor, which we haven't, because we just borrowed it.
There we are. So it doesn't even cost. And of course, the bees have pretty well free accommodation on our flat roof, which is lovely. I was out there today actually because I did try to take a video. I thought it'd be nice to show you. Anyway, the technology didn't work. I wandered amongst my bees, our bees, with impunity, and they are just very, very happy. No one, as far as I know, has really been stung by a bee, and we have hundreds of kids use our facility every week. The bees kind of mostly head that way at that height, and the kids are over here at that height. So happy days, generally speaking. But the proof is that you know, you don't have to think of it as being a tremendously risky activity. So, for example, if you're involved in a PTA at a primary school or even a secondary school, is it something that could be housed on the grounds of a school? You know, it's housed on the flat roof of a youth centre. It can be done. The other thing to say about it is about education. You know, as I said, when we started this, no one knew, apart from the lovely Priscilla, who floats in and out of the barn on occasion and does her own thing. Apart from her, no one knew anything. And the team that has developed, the B team, have self-taught themselves, you know, pretty well from scratch. Yeah, I think they have. You know, some have been more enthusiastic and knowledgeable, but they have self-taught themselves. The novelty of the project initially, you know, did attract some young volunteers, which was fantastic. They've kind of floated away a little bit, but we've got a core team of adults now who manage it very well. And the project ties in really well with another phase of activity, which again is inspired by local people, and that is trying to develop the idea of growing our own veg. Incredible. So we've got a relatively small garden, but what we can do is grow fruit and veg, herbs, and we've got a little greenhouse now. We've got the water butts, we've got our, you know, all the facilities there, all run by a volunteer gardener. So again, costing very, very little money for us to do. No, that's not all, because, as I say, as an open door, welcoming space, you know, anybody who wants to do something can do it at this place called the Barn. So we have a school uniform exchange. Yeah, we do have solar PV. We don't run it effectively like you, but we do have it. We have a food bank, you know, that happened again completely organically because the Salvation Army closed down, and we said, do you know what, we'll run it as well. As I say, incredible in the garden. And over the last year or so with Sue, the whole idea of kind of developing the town as a sustainable circular economy has started to have some legs, and working very clearly and closely with some, you know, very interesting professionals and enthusiastic ecologists, I would say. That project is now beginning to have legs as well. But as I say, my message to you today is that, you know, outside your home and families, you've got workplaces, you've got community centres, town halls, churches, you name it. If you have an idea, it can be done. So be inspired and go out there and do it. Thank you very much.
Yes, Sue. Where is the barn?
Okay. Are you familiar with Tadcaster?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. So, you know, are you aware of something called John Smith's Brewery? That enormous building on the...
Yes.
Yes, okay. And as you approach it, opposite, literally opposite John Smith's Brewery, is the barn. It's on the corner of St Joseph Street, which is where the Catholic Church is located, and Leeds Road. So next time you're coming into Tadcaster from the direction of... Stutton, okay. So you come up to the lights, you have the Esso station in front of you, you turn right, and immediately on the left, not even turn left, on the left-hand side are some empty Humphrey Smith cottages, and then next door to that is a building called the Barn.
There's no parking.
There is parking at the back of it, yeah, we have a car parking.
The garden is where then?
The gardens are out the front of it, so it's set back from the road, and we have gardens out the front and to the side of it. So next time you drive into Tadcaster that way, just turn right and just kind of keep an eye out on your left-hand side, and you'll see that building.
So the picture there, got a lovely beamed ceiling. You mentioned a flat roof. Where does that come in?
So the flat roof, so we have basically a number of different spaces, two very large spaces, a number of smaller offices, and splitting one of those is a flat roof, which you can access from the attic, which is where, you know, tag crafters keep their stuff. I keep my school uniform. The baby bank has their all of their baby equipment in there as well, and the bees live outside the window on the flat roof.
So it mainly functions as a walk-up centre, really?
I mean, people walk in from the local community, obviously. The kids come there every day. But we do have 20 or so car parking spaces at the back, and you know the car parking is free and nearby in the central car park. So yeah, and by all means, if you're in Tadcaster for whatever reason, just have a little wander down, drop in. We're always open, so we'll show you around.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, David. And yeah, can I just say thank you to all of our three speakers, because I think there's nothing better than just listening to people who have sort of been there and done things and share their experiences. So thank you to all of them. And David, it was almost like I told you what to say, which I didn't, but you could have perfectly set me up for what I just want to finish up on today.
Thank you.
So, just the last sort of 5 minutes.